Hey guys, welcome to today's video. I'm David, the founder of runautopilot.co, and we build cool automations for cool people using no-code tool. So today is a special video because I'm going to talk about a business case. And more than a business case, I'm going to break down a little bit how I build a marketplace in the art space that generated over $1 million and that was almost fully automated. So I'm going to show you a little bit about this project. So it's called Cartoonely, and basically it's a marketplace that creates custom portrait based on people's picture. And I've created this project, first of all, using no-code tool. And then once I had enough feedback, I knew what to build. We decided to build a custom platform. So I'm going to take you through the journey of building this custom platform. I'm not going to cover the no-code tool part because it was building mostly with Shopify, with Google Sheet and Zapier. So it's not so interesting now. It also was like 2, 3, 4 years ago. So I just wanted to show you mostly how we've been able to automate this entire platform with a custom code, because I believe with today's tool, it's also completely possible to do it without custom code, which can also help you save time and save money. That being said, I want already to say a little disclaimer for this video. So first of all, the title of the video says a lot, but doesn't say much. So let me clear the room. First of all, I said no employee. It's very important to know that I had no employee. However, I had a technical co-founder, and he's the guy who built this because I do not know how to code. So he was the one that coded the entire marketplace. I was the architect. I designed all the different screens. I created all the flow, all the logic, basically all the structure, and everything that needed to happen was conceived inside this little brain. However, the connecting the tools and building the actual integration was made by the CTO. So that's very important. Want to mention that too. I had no employees, but I was working with freelancers, particularly on the artist side. So those artists were independent illustrators, and they were part of this project. We sometimes hire some contractor to help us to develop the platform as well when we had specific needs, like a DevOps as well for the cloud and the hosting or the part. So just to mention, no employee officially, but we needed the help of external freelancer for some particular task when one of us was not able to do it, basically. Yeah. And then the last part that is also very important is regarding the revenue. So $1 million is what has been generated. You need to understand that this platform is a marketplace, which means that we're connecting people. So we're connecting client and we're connecting artists. And so we're talking right now about the revenue generated through the platform, even though the margin was like pretty decent. So we're talking about 50 to 60% margin minimum. So they were like quite decent margin. And we were operating worldwide. So we had a Stripe account for the French market, which was the main market, a PayPal account for the French market, and then Stripe account for the other countries, and PayPal account for the other countries. I do not have access to this platform anymore. So I am not involved in this platform. I do own shares. I don't have anything about this platform. However, I still have access to the old Stripe account that we had. So just to show you, that was just the French account. So I'm just going to refresh. And I'm just going to do this once because I don't want to brag about this. I'm not interested in this either. But the revenue just for the French account was 500K. And that was just for this account. So it was also over a 4-year period, but we had another Stripe account and 2 other PayPal accounts that I do not have access to right now. But you are free to believe me or not. This is up to you. I'm doing this video mostly to show you the automation part because I believe this is the most interesting. And starting from there, maybe that will inspire you. Maybe you will have ideas about how to build this type of flow and how you can maybe apply also some of those elements in this video for your own business. Now, if you're ready, let's just take a quick look about what does the marketplace look like today. Show you a little bit how it has been built and what we can access to from now on the internet. And then I will cover a little bit the tool that we use, how we implemented it, and show you also the different spaces. So you will have an idea as well about what I'm talking about and how it works. So let's jump right now and let me share my screen. So here we are. So this is what the website looks like right now. It wasn't like this when I had it, when I was running it, and I will show you the initial Figma. But This is what it looks like right now, even though there's still a lot that remains identical. But basically, that's a marketplace where you can select the different portrait that you want. It turns anybody into a cartoon or different style of portrait that might exist. So you have different categories as well. And for example, if you like Simpsons, then you can come on this category here, select the different style that you like. So for Simpsons, for example, you can then decide if you want to create a portrait on a frame, on a mug, and probably there will be more product added in the future. So let's pick the frame, for example, which was one of the main products. So when you select the product, you can see already what's the final results. And you can see what it looks like. And so the idea was to be able to completely streamline this entire flow. And when I say streamline, I mean that I didn't want to be involved anymore in the creation process. Initially, what was happening is you had an order coming through Shopify, and then you have to deal with this order in the back office, which means that this order needs to be sent to an illustrator. The illustrator needs to make the drawing. Then the drawing will need to be sent back to me, and then I will have to send it back to the client. And then you need to ask for revision, because if someone pays $100 for a portrait, they want to make sure it looks like them. If it doesn't look good, it's not good for your business. So you had a lot back and forth between the client and the artist. And when it was Christmas time, that's where I could have up to 400 emails like per day, like minimum. Sometimes it was really insane. It was crazy. And that's this rhythm every day. So it was just not possible to take it further with this no-code stack that I had at this time and the knowledge that I had at this time. And so the idea was to build something custom that will exactly fit the need that we had in order to not be involved in any communication anymore. So the main part was to decentralize completely this communication between the artist and the client. So we do not have to be involved only when there is an issue, right? And obviously we didn't have a lot of money, so it was really hard to have a custom project without investing like hundreds of thousands of dollars. And we didn't want to do that. So we find alternatives, right? And I'm going to break down this right now for you. So first of all, let's go back to the website and how it works. So when you're on the product, the idea was to already help the client to be able to select what he wants. And so, for example, when he wants to order a portrait, the first thing I'm going to ask him is how many people needs to be drawn. So here we already help him to select what he needs. And then every time the price was updated. So then he can go to the next step. Then you could choose the format, because we were offering digital portrait, which is just your drawing that you can download and use for whatever you want. You can print it on yourself. But we also add a all-in-one solution where you can actually also order a physical product from our platform. And I didn't want to be involved as well in this printing system. I just wanted this to run automatically. So here we connected as well like a different supplier to help us display the different product that he was offering. And here you can select the product, select the different size of it. So choose the size of the frame that you want, and then select the quantity, and then you can go next. And then you could select the background, for example, press next, the type of portrait you want, half body, full body, then the type of tattoos, then the custom text. So whatever you wanted to add. So that was an option that you could add as well. Then if you wanted to add a big item like a car, a plane, or something in your drawing, which is extra work for the artist. And so let's say I'm going to say no, and then a particular brief if you have any recommendation. The idea was to be able to sell you something 100% personalized to your desire without us being involved in the creation process, which means we'll be able to scale it and run it like on complete autopilot. And so now the brief, you can put whatever you want, and then you can just press next, upload your pictures. So I'm just going to take a random picture right now. So let's say I'm going to take this random picture here. So it's going to upload the picture, and then I'll be able to go to the checkout. And when I'm at the checkout right now, I can just validate my order basically. So that's what I could do. It can just proceed to the checkout, select the payment method that I have. I can also download, for example, this. And then I could just pay it and the entire process will be done and finalized. So this is what the platform looks like today. Slightly different when I hand it over. But basically, this is what we're going to cover. So right now, you can see the front, what's happening on the front if you're a client and you go on this website. But there's also a more complex engine and machine that operating in the back. And before we jump into that, I'm going to show you as well what is the tech stack that we use to build this. So first of all, we use Quaderno. So Quaderno is one of the tools that allow us to calculate taxes when you go to checkout. Because if we send you an order in the US, if you send you an order in France, if you send you an order in Spain, if you send you an order anywhere, we need to know what's the VAT sales tax for you, or what's your sales tax if you're based in the US. We need to understand the rates and how to calculate the price because it's different and the margin will be completely different. So the idea for us was to have a standard price. And on this standard price, we add the tax that we have to charge per country. So Quaderno was a tool that allowed us to do all this calculation because otherwise it can become very complex to do, in particularly for this industry because the design has specific rates as well. So we use Quaderno for that. Then we use custom code. So custom code was mostly to connect all the APIs and everything that we had. This entire system was built on REST API. I believe that today it will be completely possible to build it with no-code tool. And I could explain it a bit later in the takeaways now. For this project, no code was involved. So that's very important to keep this in mind. But I think the logic behind it will also be interesting if you do not know how to code. We use Gelato. So Gelato is a supplier that allow you to print your frame, to print your mug, or personalize all type of product and ship them worldwide because they have printing center locally. So that's even better because the delay basically for each order is almost the same. It doesn't matter if it's in the US, in Europe, or in Asia. They have printing center everywhere, so they'll be able to they will be able to send the order directly to the closest print shop that will be able to deliver it to you. Then we had PayPal, obviously, in the checkout. We had PayPal, we had Stripe. So we had them as two different payment methods. Nowadays, you can just activate PayPal through Stripe, so you don't even need to integrate PayPal independently anymore. SendGrid. So we use SendGrid, which is now a company by Twilio, which is an email provider. So that allows us to send follow-ups email, transactional emails. We use the API to do this. Gmail, obviously, to be aware about what's going on. And Vercel for hosting the front, and for the storage of all the files, we use AWS. So this is the tech stack that we play with in order to build this project. And just to give you an overview about how this entire flow was articulated. So here we have our happy family that wants a custom portrait for a Christmas for whatever reason, and they coming to the website and they start going through the entire flow that I just showed you in the demo, which is the different steps, selecting the background that they want, the options that they want, anything basically that they want for their portrait. So once they're done in the front, they're going to go through the checkout, right? Once they've gone through the checkout and they pay, this is where the automation was starting. Then what was happening is the order obviously was sent to the back office, so the admin section where we knew that an order was coming. And automatically, this order was going through the artist space. And I will show you a little bit what it looks like. But the artist space was basically a hidden marketplace where every project that has been sold, every request from customer were coming to a single place where artists were able to select the project they wanted to work on. So the idea for us was to not force artists to take orders, but to let artists decide when they want to get an order. Because sometimes you have a wedding, so you can work on the project for whatever reason. Sometimes you're busy, sometimes you feel sick, sometimes you just can handle a lot of work because you need more cash. And so we just didn't want to add too many constraints on this part. So we just had this inbuilt marketplace where all the project was stacking up. And basically based on your level, your experience with us, you were able to get more and more projects and to work on it, deliver them for the client. And so this is what was happening exactly in the artist space. And then you had this flow right here where an artist was submitting the project to the client in his personal space. The client could ask revision. And so if there was a revision asked, the project would go back to the artist. So the artist had to work on this project again, submit one more time until the client approves the project. So by doing this right here, we already completely got rid of the initial conversation and communication that we had where we as an admin were involved, and basically the communication was going through the back office admin here, then be sent to the artist, then be sent back to us, then we will share it with the client. So we completely got rid of this to just keep one flow, which is we know when an order is coming, and then we just create a new flow right here, a cycle where there's an iteration and feedback process happening between the client and the artist without us being involved. We could just access the conversation, but we were not actively involved in it. So this overview that I've created here is very simplified. It's a lot more complex, but I just think right now it's just sharing the main idea so you understand how it worked. Anyway, once the client was approving the portrait, then we had another flow that was kicking off. So if the portrait was a digital one, which means it was not printed, it was just a regular drawing without physical support, then he would approve the portrait and directly receive the portrait through his personal space. So he would be able to download it immediately. So we would just send an email to tell him, hey, here's your portrait, you can download it, right? However, when it was a frame, a mug, or something else, once the client has approved the project, it will be sent directly to Gelato, the supplier, and then the supplier will take it over and directly send the product to the customer. So this is what was happening. This was the flow that was happening. And if you notice, we actually, as an admin, we were not involved at all in this flow, only when an issue was happening where you need to jump in to see what's going on. But because we automated here the conversation, because here we knew that when the client approves the portrait, that means it's satisfied and we don't need to do anything, and we connected the API of the supplier, we were not involved in this process at all. And for the artist, they could request the payment directly through their space, which means that we had nothing to do. And the beauty of this business model is, first of all, we get paid before, which means that we cash in before we cash out to pay artists and to pay for the product. So that was the beauty of it. And the second thing is, because it's digital product, it's also a lot easier to handle in terms of logistics. So this was great. And it's also a fun business to run, right? It was just fun because it's like you're involved with cartoons, you see cool portrait, you have like cool way of promoting this business. So that was very interesting, an interesting way to actually work in this universe, in this environment. It was really, really cool. So now I would like to show you a little bit about the artist space and how it was built. And I don't have access to it anymore. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a recording that I had before about the space, and that will allow me as well to comment a little bit about the structure that we have implemented in order to build this type of flow, right? Let me share my screen one more time. There we go. So here is what the artist space was looking like. So this is just a recording of the video that I recorded a while ago, just to show you how we organize it. So first of all, here we have the revenue. So we had like different tabs. So the overview tabs right here was the tab where the artist, when he was logging, had an idea about the revenue that he has generated, how many orders has been validated, how many orders are left to be validated, the rating. So basically, we set it up an entire rating system in this business, which will allow us to always know who are the best illustrators, and based on your rating, you had access to more orders or not. So that will allow good artists to always be able to get more projects, and artists that do not have good rates to be able to work more on the project that they have in order to deliver better quality, to receive 5 stars in order to then be able to get more projects. And so we created different status as well. And the status allow us to classify artists based on the fact that if they were, so just got to go back here. But basically the status were created in order to, for us to classify artists. If you are, a new artist, you've been there for 2-3 weeks, you have the, first status, which is the novice status. And the novice status will just give you access to one project and will give you a standard rate, price rate. However, when you start having more experience, you deliver, let's say, more than 10 projects and your rating is above 4.5, then you become a Padawan, right? And once you're a Padawan, you can get up to 3 projects at the same time. And you can also have an increase in rate because every project was paid per character or per element that is to be drawn. So we were adding a little bit more on the price. Then if you had done already 100 orders, then now you can take up to 5 orders at the same time. And now you become a Jedi. So now you have the status that allow you to take more projects. You get paid more as well. And the last one was the expert level. The expert level is when you have done more than 500 orders, your rating is above like 4.8. And basically at this stage, we just know that we can give you anything. You can handle it. You've already proven that you were amazing. And the price is also a lot higher than before. So every time there was this increase of price, and we did this in order to make sure that the good artists were staying with us because they were incentivized to stay with us on the long run. And the whole plan was to not work with a lot of artists, but to work with good artists because a good artist can do a lot more work than a normal artist. And for us, it was more interesting to have 3 good artists rather than to have 10 normal artists, right? And so the system was built in order to incentivize artists to stay with us and to keep working with us on the long run. So we were not interested in like turning around all that stuff. We just wanted to make sure we have the best for as long as possible, right? So with that being said, so right now I'm going to show you as well the statistics part. So which is a part where we were helping artists to also have an idea about the breakdown, about the category where they perform the best. And we had this marketplace. So the marketplace were exactly where they were receiving all the orders. When a new order was coming through the front, here you will see a project based on the category that the artist had access to in order to be able to accept the project if he was interested or not. Because sometimes artists could not work on certain projects for whatever reason, or they could just deal with like a project with 2 people and not with 8 people. And this is the place where they were able to see how many people were involved in this portrait and see if they wanted to work on it or not. And when they accept the project, basically this is what the project will look like. So it was directly in the space. And so they had an idea about the price, they had an idea about the reference, and they had also the breakdown about what was needed for this portrait. So the type of body, if there were tattoo, and then all the pictures. They had access to all the pictures in order to be able to draw the artist. We provide them as well with resources. So everything was built in the back office as the admin back office. So we were able to provide already resources before an order was made. We already had everything classified, right? And then we had here the chat that was a direct link with the client. And we could, the artist could submit a project or ask her a question. So we gave him 2 options. And all of this was based on the experience that we had previously with the no-code tool that we used. And so, as you can see here, there's also the final result expected. They also had access to a template in order to be able to validate the right format with the printer, because that was also a challenging part, is making sure that the size of the file will match the requirement of the printer. Otherwise, you can have a portrait that is completely cut in half or something like that, which is not good, right? Because customer will ask for a refund. So we provide them already with a template, making sure they already have everything structured. Now, on the same tab, we had here all the project, and this is basically where they had access to all the recap of the payment, project that needs to be paid, project that have been paid, all that stuff. And this is where they could see everything. So here, for example, you can see all those projects that have been paid. And that was directly in the project tab, project section right here. And then we had like the payment and rate tab. So that was the tab where we also define all the prices, and people and artists could see exactly how much they would earn based on the status that they have and the status they will be able to get along the way. Then we had the FAQ. So the FAQ was the part where we were just answering the most common question. Here we had the community, a link towards the Discord community that was already implemented. And that will allow the artist to have access to everything, basically. We didn't need us, we were just able to log in. And here I'm just showing you quickly what the back office admin looked like. So it wasn't really sexy, but the idea was more to be efficient, to build products, add the resources for every product that we build, which is the template or things like that, and manage artists, adding artists and all that stuff. And so adding an artist was not automated yet. So that's why I'm saying the platform was 95% automated, because we were not able yet to add artists, but it was planned to have a custom onboarding where artists would just pass a test, submit a test, and then we would just approve or not the test. And then the artist would have had access directly to his own space and would be able to work on the projects from specific categories that he had access to. So in order for an artist to get access to more categories, he had to pass more tests. That was the whole point of this entire platform. And all of this basically was automated. Now that you have seen this overview, I'm just going to share as well the Figma design that has been made, because it will also show you a bit more details about how it works for certain aspects of the website. So let's deep dive into this. So this is what the Figma look like. And basically we add different sections. So the first section that you can see right here is the section B2C. So this is how the platform has been built. And this is how it was initially. So we had all the categories. So it's quite similar to what we have now, but it did change a little bit because we were displaying a lot more product, right? We had all the different categories. So the portrait here that you can select, and here the different steps that we have seen together, which was like the funnel that every user has to go through in order to be able to make an order, and the checkout that was here, right? So here, based on what was selected in terms of shipping option, that we would know there would be a different price. So this is where Quaderno, the tool that I spoke about, was involved, right? So this is what we had. And then we had like the confirmation screen here, and you could complete your order and access directly to your personal space right here. Then you add different pages. So I'm not going to cover that because this is just random pages. However, we add also a business section, and this business section right now that exists is probably still on the website right here, business and creatives. And basically this section used like kind of the same flow that we did before, except that we were able to identify the artist. So we provide them an exclusive code, and they could also bring their own customers. And so when the customer were putting the code here, that would directly assign the project to the artist, which means that once again, we didn't have to be involved, because the negotiation between the price and the deliverable was between the artist and the client directly. And the good thing about that is we were just helping artists to secure the payment, because the client had to pay in order to access to validate the project. So the artist knew that we had the money, and we had a strong reputation among our artists, because making sure we always pay on time, that there's no issue with the payment, and making sure that they also get value for their work. Because when you're an artist, sometimes clients, they ask for a lot of revision and they never get charged for that. But we had also built an entire revision system where, based on what the client was asking in terms of revision, some of them were included, but other were extra. And so we were always paying artists for the extra work that needed to be done in order to also protect the artists, and so they don't have to work like crazy number of hours for actually very little money. And this system here allowed them as well to bring their own client, own customer, in order to secure the funds through our platform. We'll also generate the invoice for them and deal with the customer in case of an issue. We were also helping the customer and mediate and be the intermediate between the artist and the client in case there were an issue for whatever reason. So that was what was built at this level. And now I'm just going to try to show you this part as well. And so for the back office, so the onboarding that I was talking about, the idea was to be able to show a video first, make them log in, show them the different plans. So we would have like a pay plan as well to work on the business projects. So they would pay directly, and then they would have access to the platform and be able to directly start accessing the different projects that we had based on if they had validated the test or not. And basically, this is what it would have looked like. So here they would have been able to submit the different tests, and we would have access to it in order to manually approve the artist, even though right now, probably with AI, we would have been able to automate it based on the similarity on the picture and the drawing version. We'll be able to assign a score, and automatically if the score is above, it's above like a certain threshold, that we can just say approved. And basically now that's the space that you just saw before that was designed as well. And so there were a lot more features that were included initially, but you always have to scope down a little bit, otherwise you end up having a product that was very, very expensive. And so basically, that was just a little glance about what we were able to do with a team of two, basically. So myself and the co-founder, CTO, and we developed this over several months. So it took a little while, but we actually had the no-code project that was running, and this one was in the process of being built and being launched as well, fully automated. So we had the chance to as well enjoy this completely automated project. So this was really good. Now, I would like to cover a little bit the budget for this type of project, because the stack that we use at a cost, like we cannot go this cheaply, even though it was not crazy expensive when you see how automated it was. So we use Quaderno, so it's about $50 a month, more or less. And I'm talking about monthly price right now. If you sign up for yearly prices, you always can have it cheaper. The custom code. So the custom code, technically speaking, had no cost because I didn't pay for the code. However, I had a co-founder. So the co-founder was obviously earning money out of the project. So this is what paid for the code. So having the right partners can also help you save a lot of money. And that was an example where right now the code, I can't really include it in the budget. However, we did have an investment that was made initially for the services of the CTO. So it's like, then it's based on also what you guys can agree on. In our case, it was about shares. So when you have shares in the company, that was the cost of this. So I didn't have to pay financially for that, even though later on salary was taken. But initially, it was just shares about the company. So depends how you want to deal with that. But this is still doable if you guys are teaming up. Otherwise, you can always outsource to someone. The Gelato was a pay-as-you-go service, which means that you just pay when you need a frame, when you need something. And then they introduce later on a monthly plan, and the monthly plan was giving you discounts on your product. So based on the volume that you have, the monthly plans can worth it because it helps you save a lot more than when you spend. So there's still an option to do it for free though. So I just wrote pay-as-you-go because it will really depends on the volume, monthly volume that you have. Then you have PayPal fees, about 3%, but can't guarantee this is the exact rate, but PayPal, you have to pay like Stripe. There's like fixed fees that you have to pay every month, for every orders though. And then there's PayPal fees and Stripe fees. So I'm just not exactly sure about the rates. I think it's around 3% for PayPal. But you pay every time a user is using the payment service. It's as simple as that. You can't escape. You literally can't escape. Then we had SendGrid, and SendGrid was about $19 a month for the emails. So we have a large volume of emails in order to send follow-up emails, reminders for either a client that needs to validate the portrait or artist that needs to deliver the portrait in order to be able to also take more projects. And so basically that's what we had. We had the Gmail as well. So Gmail is for free. We had Verser. So Verser was to host the front end of the website, making sure everything was loading super fast. And we had AWS for all the storage of the files, so the drawings that we were keeping in a database. And basically for AWS, we use credits. So that was the beauty of it, is we had access to credits, so we didn't have to pay for the storage at all. But the storage could have been between $200 and $300 a month without the credits. I still believe that you can access AWS credits right now, even as a startup. So this is good. And basically it will help you to kick off. And when you kick off and you're able to pay for it, that's fine. Your cost will be covered. So in our case, it wasn't really a cost, but obviously you can also host all your file on something else. Can be Google Drive, can be a Dropbox. In our case, it was better to integrate with AWS for security reason. And because we were planning maybe at some point to use AI, now it's not going to be done anymore, but that was something that we had in mind as well. So here you know everything about it. And regarding the takeaways, so as you can see, so this project, I make a short video just to explain a little bit what was done, but it was done over like 9 months to develop just this platform. So it was like quite a heavy and intense development. It was also very hard because I had to take several hats to be the designer, Figma designer, UX UI designer, to also be the project manager, to be the tester as well. And so I was fully involved in this project. It was very intense. So I don't know if I would recommend going for something as hard with like a team so small, but it's definitely possible. And we had the chance as well, or the right way to do it, which is we built something because we already had a no-code version that was working well. And so we knew exactly what to build, which makes the entire process much simpler. Nowadays, if I had to build something like this, I would use WeWeb for the front. So I will be able to rebuild the entire tunnel that we saw. I will use Xano to store all my data. So this is something that I would have been able to do. The tool that I mentioned, Gelato, had an API. Stripe can be integrated as well with the API. We had Quaderno that had an API as well. So I would have been able to use all of those tools the same way I did. I would have been able as well to build the chat using WeWeb. And then probably I would have needed to integrate something like Twilio in order to have the messages or something like this. Or maybe I would have used WhatsApp in order to have a direct contact with my user on their WhatsApp so they can directly validate the portrait on their WhatsApp. So this is the way I would have built it today. And basically I would have used the same tool for all different parties involved. So for the artist, I would have had as well a specific dashboard built with WeWeb that would have been connected to my Xano database. And I would have used filter in order to display the portrait that the artist can take. And I would have also been able to assign them projects based on the category they had access to. So I think building a project like this with WeWeb Xano is completely possible today. Probably it's going to take a little while. So I think between 2 to 4 to 6 months based on how fast you are and how many of you are doing it. But I would be almost 100% sure that the entire project can be made today using WeWeb and Xano, which were not really available tools when we started this project. Otherwise, that would have been definitely a recommendation to use them. And so it's also very cool to see that with time, you are able now to build more and more complex solutions using no-code tool or low-code tool. And the result would have been pretty much the same and probably even less in terms of cost, especially if you get rid of the AWS credits, then you would have saved a lot of time because you can store everything in your Xano database. And even after a certain I would say, even after you have stored a certain amount of file, you can even just download them and put them on a Google Drive and just let them sit there and use them whenever you need. And the integration to different APIs, like everything that we have with AI and the OpenAI API, all of that could have been as well integrated right now to help user create a brief based on what they want. So we would have even probably have a better experience. We can even think about how AI could have been integrated in order to generate a first version of an image. So this would have been even a game changer right now if I was still working on this project and could code as well in order to keep going with what we had. So hopefully this will give you a little idea about what's possible to do, how we did it, and just seeing you a little bit about the back office, the business project, and what it took to build something like this. If you haven't subscribed yet to YouTube channel, though, feel free to do it now. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comment. If you need help with your projects, you want to see how we can work together, feel free to get in touch. Always happy to help. And with that being said, I see you for the next video.